In this video, I'm going to talk about 3 really important things to focus on if you're preparing for MSRA to try and get the highest score possible. Of course, MSRA is important for many different specialty applications: GP, psychiatry, radiology, ophthalmology, etc. So it's really important to get a high score. And these 3 things, if you focus on these 3 things, it can help boost your score significantly. I'm Dr. Arora from Arora Medical Education. I've been helping doctors prepare for MSRA for many years. I used to be a question writer for the MSRA exam, so I know the kind of things that people do, or don't do, I should say, that really hinder them getting a really, really good score. So let's focus on these 3 things. Let's start. Now, the first thing to focus on in a heavy way, and something that I don't think people do enough of, is building your knowledge base. Now, most people go into MSRA and they just do lots and lots and lots of questions, and doing questions is important, which we'll talk about in a second, but you've got to build your knowledge base in some other way, whether it's going through guidelines, whether it's reading the GMC Good Medical Practice book, whether it's going through online courses, audio courses, just some method of having a system to cover gaps, going through core clinical knowledge. Remember, it's not just about knowing knowledge. The knowledge itself is not going to get you a high score. We'll talk about technique and boosting that in a second, but you've got to have a strong knowledge base. Now, too many people who just do question after question after question, they learn the bits of knowledge underneath each question. So they're very good on understanding, parts of a guideline, like diagnosis of hypertension or management of hypertension, but there are lots of bits in the middle that they just don't read because they don't come up in questions that they do, and therefore they have gaps in knowledge, and then you get to the exam and then you struggle to answer the types of questions. So yes, do lots of questions and learn knowledge that way, but make sure you have some system in place to A, find information. I'll talk about how we can help you doing that in a second, but B, have some kind of systematic way to go through it in terms of coverage. For example, one of our free planners where we tell you what day to cover what topic. For example, I'll put links for that later on in the video. So number 1, the first thing to focus on and get right when it comes to MSRA before you start doing thousands of questions is to find a system or have something in place that you can go to boost and build your knowledge base. So the other 2 things I'm going to talk about in a second have their highest impact and highest value. So please, please, please find something to build your knowledge base. The second really important thing to focus on when trying to get a high score in MSRA is building your problem-solving ability. Now, the MSRA exam, the clinical part of it and the SJT part of it, is not just looking for you to regurgitate knowledge. So yes, you need to have a strong knowledge base, but the reason you need a strong knowledge base is to be able to apply that knowledge and problem solve. So the way that you focus on problem solving is, yes, doing lots of questions, but not just looking at, did I get it right or wrong, but really trying to think through those questions and look at the problems that you're trying to solve, so your brain gets used to working things out and making 50-50 calls in very quick time. Now, if you don't focus on this, you will just do thousands of questions, but you won't really increase your ability to problem solve itself. So when you're going through questions, really focus on what's the problem here, what's the pattern that I'm looking at from previous questions that I've got right or wrong, and how do I build my ability to work things out in a very short period of time. And that's where technique can help, and we'll talk about technique in a second. So number 1, build your knowledge base, but number 2, focus on your ability to problem solve, so that when you're in that stressful situation in the middle of the assessment, whether it's clinical or whether it's SJT, you're able to work things out under pressure in a quick period of time. And the third really important thing to focus on when you're preparing for MSRA is not just knowledge, not just problem solving, but technique. Technique is super important when it comes to any MCQ based exam, because you may have the knowledge, you may have the ability to work out and problem solve, but if your technique is not right and you haven't focused on this as you've been preparing, you will lose a lot of marks because of the way that you read questions, the way your brain interprets a question, and you'll miss out things like small words that can change the whole answer completely. You will miss out the need to change double words to single words. There's so many things from a technique point of view that you need to focus on when you're preparing to allow yourself to get the maximum value from knowing all the knowledge that you have, but also being able to problem solve. Because if you know the stuff and you can problem solve it, but you get the technique wrong, all that hard work is in essence going to waste in that particular question because your brain has not picked up the technique side of things. Now, when it comes to technique, there are only probably 6, 7, or 8 common themes that you need to be recognizing so that when it comes to the assessment, you recognize them there as well. Because if you haven't recognized those and you haven't focused on them and you're not noticing them when you're doing your questions, then when it comes to the assessment, you're probably going to make the same mistakes, regardless of the knowledge that you have and regardless of the fact that you can problem solve in that high pressurized situation. And when we do all of our teaching for mocks, for example, or online courses, we always talk about both the knowledge side but also the technique. But whichever way you want to do it, please make sure you focus on technique because it can build up your marks in a significant way. Now I'm going to summarize these things in detail, but before I do, if you like this video, please do subscribe to the channel, please do comment and share and like. It's you guys who allow us to make these kind of videos that hopefully help you get the maximum when it comes to your exams. But to summarize those 3 really important things to focus on, please focus on these 3 things in combination to allow yourself to get a high score. Remember, MSRA is competitive. You need to do as well as you can to get that rotation, that job in that area that you really want to get, regardless of which specialty you're doing. Number 1, make sure you build your knowledge base. Too many people don't do any background reading, any background learning, any background content coverage because they just do questions. Number 2, get used to and focus on your ability to problem solve. Regularly put yourself in that situation where you have to work things out in a very short period of time and get your brain used to doing that and comfortable in doing that in a time pressurized way. And number 3, really important, make sure you focus on building your technique so you're not making the same mistakes again and again, despite having the knowledge, despite having the ability to problem solve. So when I prepare for people for MSRA, and I've been doing that for many years now, I really try and hone down these 3 things. The combination of these 3 things together can allow you to boost that percentage mark by 5, 10, 50%. Who knows what the maximum possibility is, but it's really important that when you do your preparation, don't just go and do thousands and thousands of questions and not think about the process that you're doing. Hit these 3 things really hard, and I promise you, you'll feel much more confident about your preparation. You'll feel like you've covered more, and you'll go into that exam in a much better space to be able to perform as best as you can on that particular day. Now, if you enjoyed this video and you do want to use some of our resources, we have so much for MSRA, whether it's our gold package, our all-in-one package, our mock exams, our online courses, our audio courses, our flashcards. Please do use the coupon Arora Video 10, ARORA VIDEO 10, to get 10% off anything that you like on the website to try and help you in any of these 3 areas when it comes to your MSRA preparation. I hope this video has been of some value. Good luck in your preparation. Hopefully we'll meet you on one of our webinars or our live courses at some point soon. Remember those 3 things. Number 1, increase your knowledge base. Number 2, increase your problem solving ability. And number 3, increase your technique. Have an awesome day. #CanPassWillPass. #I went with Arora. Take care.